Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of South Bay Sports Radio. I am joined by the self-proclaimed best-looking coach in the area, current Compton College offensive coordinator, John Aponte. Coach, thank you for joining me.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, let's go. Take me back to your earliest memories of falling in love with football.
So, 6 years old, I grew up in New York, and New York Giants won the Super Bowl.His. And that was the same year that the Mets had won the World Series. So it was a great year for New York. I was 6 years old. I'm a kid, so very highly impressionable. My entire family was over the house, big gathering, food, everything. And I just remember everyone being so happy watching these sporting events that I just wanted more of that feeling. You grow up at 6 years old, and all of a sudden everyone's having a great time winning. It's a good time. So I just been in love with sports ever since.
Mets, Giants, Rangers.
So I'm a Mets, Jets, Rangers, Nick. Usually it's like Mets, Jets, or it's Yankees, Giants. But, if the Giants make it to the show or something like that, I'll root for them. I just don't root for them against my own guys.
There you go. You move from one of the 5 boroughs, Queens, to Pennsylvania, and you play football at Pocono Mountain High.
Yes.
What would best describe your time during high school?
Completely different than anything I grew up with. So my parents decided to move out of New York. Like a lot of people do. You want to move to a place that's a better education, better opportunities. It was very smart of my parents to do that. But it's like at the time, Pocono Mountain sounds exactly what it is. It's up in a mountain with tourists, like a Mount Airy Lodge, like a ski resort, and there's nothing there. I mean, nothing. I couldn't sleep for like a couple months because I was so used to sleeping by a hospital. We were like a block away from a hospital. And then we moved when there was nothing but trees and wildlife, and it was so quiet. So it was wild. And then schools are just, you went from really diverse inner city to not really as much. And so that was kind of an adjustment period too. But I mean, overall, it was fun. I was already in high school, so you know, uh, I was just looking forward to playing some ball and finishing and getting out of there. You know.
You graduated from high school in 98 and joined the United States Marines. What went into that decision?
So when I was a kid, my father was in the Marines. And so when I was a kid, my father would always talk to me and say, Marines made me who I am, and Marines are the best. And everything was always Marines are the greatest, Marines are the best. So this is thrown into my brain the whole time. So when it came time for me to graduate high school, of course my parents were like, oh, it's time to go to college. And my brain was like, what do you mean? I'm gonna go to the Marine Corps. And, it was just something that I thought of my whole life. I was an aggressive young man, like a lot of kids are at 17, 18. I was in shape, and I thought that, you know, what better thing to do than following my dad's footsteps? So I was, I went into the recruiting office. I didn't tell my parents. They know this now. And I didn't tell my parents. They told me, no, you can't go. So I went to the recruiting office and I said, hey, I want to be a Marine. And the guy looks at me and he goes, that's awesome. He goes, what job do you want? And I said, I don't understand what you mean. I'm like, what jobs? The one with the gun. That's the only one you guys got, right? And he's like, no. He's like, we have a whole bunch of jobs. I said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. So I'll take the one with the gun. And I didn't know that there was other jobs in the Marine Corps other than infantry. And a month later, I was gone, Paris Island. It was great.
You take your first job coaching as a defensive coordinator at Irvine's University High in 2004. What brought you west, and what do you remember about that first year?
So I enlisted in 98. And I did boot camp and all that good stuff. I did a year in Okinawa, Japan. That was my first tour. Okinawa, Japan, by myself, 19 years old. And after you do a year, they ask you, where do you want to go next? And so, of course, they gave me I gave them 3 options. I said East Coast, Hawaii, or California. And of course, they gave me the third option, and they shipped me to Camp Pendleton. So after Okinawa, I was at Pendleton for the rest of my time inside the Corps. And that's what brought me out west. Best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you, Marine Corps, for giving me the third option on my list. Because I've never left since. And so I had deployed and then I had come back. And in one of my breaks around 2004, before I had went and deployed again, I had this time where I was doing, when you're not deployed, they give you like odd jobs. to like kind of like decompress and kill the time. And then they throw you back out to go work again, you know? And so they had me at a job where I was like helping run this, it was called the Military Operations Urban Terrain, like a facility, but it was almost like a, not even a 9 to 5 gig. It was a really weirdly hour thing. And I had all this chunk of time during the day to kill. And so I think, you know what? I love football. I've been dying to try this. I reached out to a guy, and he gave me a chance. And that first year that I ever did it, I remember realizing I know absolutely nothing. I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm going to fake it till I make it. And so I'm the defensive coordinator. I think I blitzed 98% of the time. I had no concept of, of anything else except pure aggressions. Go get the guy, right? I'm a little bit better. If I was a DC now, I'd probably only blitz 91% of the time. So I imagine there's growth there.
So you're not Monty Kiffin or anybody like that.
No, not at all.
Now you take over at Banning in 2013 and made some huge strides in that program. You help end a 7-year losing streak to San Pedro, a 16-year losing streak to Carson. But what were your short-term goals when you took over a very storied program?
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's a very storied program. I understood how important it was to the community, but I guess it kept growing as time went on. I understood like how much it really meant to these guys. And I think my short-term goal at the time was just to like really be competitive in a lot of the games, find a way to go and win some of the games we're not supposed to, and win every game we are supposed to. You know, when I was there and I was watching earlier, sometimes I felt that we wouldn't win games that I thought we could have. So in my brain, I was like, you know what? No, we've got to win the ones we're supposed to, and then squeeze out a couple we're not. And so I mean, I did that from just like a lot of work in the off season, kids buying in, recruiting the school is what we did. We just recruited the school. You know, a lot of kids walk through those hallways that are big boys, tough boys over there at Banning. I was lucky enough to hire some great coaches, alumni guys who were, you know, they're all in at Banning. And, you know, we just took it one practice at a time, one day at a time, kept working hard, and it worked out pretty good for us.
I asked you to name a couple memorable games, and there's a very long list. I remember being at the Carson game that when you were with Banning, and the thing that came up was how long that losing streak was. And I had asked you where you were 16 years prior. And I think that was when it came up like, oh, I had just enlisted in the Marines. But
Yeah.
there was a Redondo Palos Verdes game, and we talked about this earlier, where goes down to the wire and PV wins on a 62-yard field goal, if my memory serves me correct. And then you've got
It
all
was
those,
long. It was very long.
yeah. And then you've got all those Redondo Costa battles. Thanks for tuning into this episode. If you're interested in advertising with South Bay Sports Radio, leave a comment and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Enjoy the rest of this episode. But you are on staff to help South Torrance win just the second title in city history in 2019. What was it about that group that remains special to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think what really remains special to me is that they were all community guys. And so, you know, when I went over to South in 2019, the entire roster was the same that it was in 2018, except for maybe one or two kids that joined the program that went to the school. So we get an addition of a guy like Cade Barger, who was a phenomenal football player, maybe even a better baseball player, um, who was walking the halls that didn't play the year prior. You know, adding him, you know, just having the rest of the kids in the community, living in the community. You know, I'm still in touch with a lot of those kids and a lot of parents. We see each other when we go to the stores. It's a really awesome thing. You know, just that we did it with all the homegrown kids. There wasn't an influx. No, and nothing about nothing, but sometimes people try to go to schools and they try to bring in um, some talent with them. I don't see anything wrong with that. Listen, kids want to go where they want to go. That's a different discussion, whatever. I am proud of myself for doing it with the kids that were already there. And for me in that community, I think it really meant something. It means a little bit more.
You named Tony Franklin as a mentor. Tell me about Mr. Franklin and what you learned from him and who he is.
Yeah, so Tony Franklin right now is the offensive coordinator, I believe, at Louisiana Tech. I've known him for maybe over 10 years now. So people would remember him as the offensive coordinator at Cal when they had Jared Goff. He's one of the air raid OGs, him, Hal Mummy, Mike Leach, all those guys, and the thing that I think that I get the most from him is his positive attitude. He takes the game serious, and I take the game serious, but he does it in such a positive way where people just want to be with him. He's an attractor, and I hope that I am kind of similar to that through good vibes, especially with the players and stuff like that. I want to be an attractor to the kids. I want kids to want to play for me, not because I'm good at football, but because I'm a good man. Tony Franklin's a good man. And, he talks about do something for people and expect nothing back. I love doing football. I don't ask nothing back from nobody except give me your best. I don't do the training for money. I don't do any of that. I'm not a guy who puts cones in a park and charges $20 a head. It just don't sit right with me. And nothing against those guys that do it. Good for them. You got to make your living. I got nothing with that. And some of those guys are great. But I just think Tony Franklin has kind of taught me just do for people and don't expect anything back. And that's a good thing that I keep trying to do. So, works out for me.
You were in the Marine Corps for 8 years. How did being in the service translate into coaching?
Yeah, so it's number one, the Marine Corps has been around for 250 years now, right? And they build the world's finest fighting force. Not disputable. It is what it is. All right. They're the best. And they talk about leadership. They're really good at leadership. They turn young kids off the street into, leaders of men. And so, all the things that I learned there, perseverance, integrity, honor, courage, commitment. Those are things that I try to bring to the football field. It's very seamless. Football is kind of a paramilitary organization. You know what I mean? And so it's not really that much different. They both require hard work. It's both delayed gratification, which nobody wants anymore. But, it's, the Marine Corps helped shape me into the man I am today. I just try to impart those lessons onto some of the kids, even sometimes some of the adults. I think coaches should be coaching coaches. Some people don't like to hear that. I think it's the truth. I like to be coached, right? I want to get better. And so I think coaches got to keep coaching coaches. I think coaches coach kids. The Marine Corps is the ultimate at holding people accountable. And I think that's something that good football teams have. Good football teams have great accountability within, and they're able to drown out the noise. That's kind of what the Marine Corps is. We don't care what nobody thinks. We're the best, and that's just how it is. So seamless transition for me between the Marine Corps and football. The difference is I don't take the drill instructor approach. I like to coach with, love and respect. That's just me.
You recently took the job as an offensive coordinator at Compton College. What are some of your short-term goals for this program?
So short-term goal, structure. I have to go there and immediately implement the correct structure, the foundation, the bricks, So I've been lucky enough to be there already for a little bit. We start spring ball next week. I've been hitting the ground running recruiting. I've got some great commits and some great kids. And I believe more will continue to come, but it's about doing things the right way, having structure, having buy-in. I've been able to work with the returners from last year's team, and they already are holding each other accountable, which is amazing. So if I can just short-term institute, the foundation of what a football team's supposed to look like. You know what I mean? You come to practice every day. You have weight room, you have film, you have practice, and you just do it all over again. I'm doing that already. I can already see the return on just the small time that I've been there with the kids that I have. Compton has been on some hard times, and a lot of my peers tell me I'm crazy, and I agree with them. I am. But they said I was crazy when I went to South. They said I was crazy when, I was at Banning. They said I couldn't beat Carson. I couldn't do this. So I love when people tell me I can't. It excites me. And if they think that I can't, I would recommend Google me and you would see that I can. So, I know that it's been tough there. I welcome the challenge. I think it's awesome. If not me, then who? Might as well be me. So I look forward to it.
Beautiful. That will wrap up what I like to call the serious part of the interview episode.
Yeah.
We're going into rapid fire. 5 questions off the hip. Go for it. All right. All-time favorite NFL players.
Ken O'Brien, Freeman McNeil, Al Toon, Lawrence Taylor, Otis Anderson. I will go with those.
I believe you didn't say Scary Collins.
I did not.
One NFL franchise has to go.
Jaguars.
No, I thought you were going to say the Cowboys.
I would have said Patriots. I don't want your pocket to get too much heat. But as a Jets fan, Patriots got to go.
Your favorite football movie.
That's cheesy. I like The Replacements with Keanu Reeves.
No, you got to have heart. You got to have heart.
I love that.
That's
I
great.
love that. The kicker's smoking as he's going to kick. I love it.
He's
I need him.
He's wiry. He's wiry. Fresh Prince or Saved by the Bell? Where were you when OJ was driving around LA?
Home watching the game, angry that they cut the game off because I was from the East Coast and didn't really care about OJ at the time.
A movie is being made about your life. Who plays John Aponte?
Oh, just came to me. I like that Javier Bardem. Javier,
Ooh.
the No Country for Old Men psychopath.
Yes.
I need him. It'll be easy. He's already played a psychopath once. You can do it twice. Let's do it.
With a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Your go-to South Bay eatery and your favorite dish there.
TNT Aloha, and I get the Max Loco.
Max
The
Loco.
Loco, Max Loco, not a Loco Moco, the Max Loco.
What makes it a Max?
It is a patty of hamburger patty, Portuguese sausage, and corned beef hash with the egg and the gravy on white rice. You could sub the white rice for a fried rice. Yes, that is the Max Loco. Highly recommended.
Highly recommended. You got me drooling over here, dude. Next on the list. Coach, you're amazing. Thank you for your time. I wish you all the best in the future.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, buddy.
We'll
you. Talk soon.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to follow along and share these episodes with your family and friends. Until the next episode, South Bay Sports Guy signing off. Have a great day.